What you're about to hear isn't just about a military operation, it's about a shift in how wars are being fought. Because during recent US actions targeting Iran's military infrastructure, something more than strikes was taking place. Beneath the surface, the United States was testing capabilities that signal a broader transformation, one that extends far beyond a single battlefield. Three systems in particular stand out, not because they are entirely new, but because of what they represent when used together: extended reach, adaptive warfare, and reduced detectability. Individually, each is significant. Combined, they point to a doctrine that is evolving in real time. The first of these is the Precision Strike Missile, or PrSM. At its core, PrSM is a replacement for the long-serving ATACMS system, a weapon that has defined US Army deep strike capability for decades. But this is not a routine upgrade. It reflects a deliberate effort to expand the range, flexibility, and survivability of land-based strike systems without fundamentally altering how they are deployed. What makes PrSM strategically important is not just its extended reach, but how seamlessly it integrates into existing platforms. It can be launched from the same HIMARS systems already fielded across multiple theaters. That means no delay in deployment, no need for new infrastructure, just an immediate increase in operational capability. And that increase is substantial. PrSM effectively doubles the missile load per launcher while significantly extending strike range. This combination alters the geometry of the battlefield. Targets that were previously out of reach are now vulnerable, and launch positions can be pushed further from the front lines, reducing exposure while maintaining offensive pressure. From a defensive standpoint, this creates a far more complex problem. More launch points, greater distances, and faster engagement timelines make it increasingly difficult to predict or intercept incoming strikes. But range alone doesn't define the system. Future iterations of PrSM are expected to introduce capabilities that go beyond static targeting. The ability to engage moving targets, strike maritime assets, and operate in highly contested environments suggests a shift toward multi-domain integration. This is particularly relevant in regions where traditional basing options are limited and long-range precision becomes essential. Its reported use in combat marks a critical milestone. Not simply because it has been deployed, but because it demonstrates confidence in its reliability under real-world conditions. That, in itself, sends a message not just to Iran, but to other observers evaluating US capabilities. And that message is clear. The reach of US ground-based strike systems is expanding, and with it, the range of strategic options. But while long-range missiles extend the battlefield outward, another development is compressing it in a very different way. Because one of Iran's most notable advantages in recent years has been its use of low-cost drone systems. These platforms, particularly the Shahed series, have demonstrated that inexpensive, mass-produced systems can challenge even advanced defenses through sheer volume and persistence. For a time, this created an asymmetry, one where cost and scale began to rival technological superiority. The US response to that challenge is where things become particularly interesting. Rather than simply countering these drones with more advanced defenses, the United States appears to have adopted elements of the same approach. The result is LUCAS, the low-cost uncrewed combat attack system. What sets LUCAS apart is not just its cost, but its adaptability. Designed as a one-way attack drone, it reflects a shift toward scalable, expendable systems that can be deployed in large numbers without the financial burden typically associated with precision munitions. But it goes a step further. Unlike earlier low-cost drones, LUCAS incorporates features that increase its operational flexibility. Satellite connectivity and onboard sensors allow for mid-flight adjustments, meaning targets can be updated as conditions change. This transforms the drone from a simple strike asset into a dynamic component of a larger operational network. In practical terms, that changes how these systems can be used. Instead of isolated attacks, they can be deployed in coordinated waves, saturating defenses and forcing adversaries to divide their attention. Radar systems become overloaded, response times shrink, and gaps begin to appear. Those gaps can then be exploited by more advanced systems. This is where the concept of layered warfare becomes critical. LUCAS is not designed to replace high-end weapons, it's designed to enable them. By overwhelming defenses at the lower end, it creates opportunities for more precise and destructive systems to penetrate deeper. There is also a notable strategic irony here. The underlying concept is derived, at least in part, from the very systems it is intended to counter. By adapting and refining those ideas, the US is effectively turning a proven tactic back on its originator, while enhancing it with greater flexibility and integration. And this raises a broader question. If low-cost adaptable drones can be produced at scale and integrated into coordinated operations, what does that mean for future conflicts where quantity and coordination begin to rival traditional measures of power? That question becomes even more relevant when considering the third system. Because unlike the others, it isn't new in name, but it may be new in capability. The Tomahawk cruise missile has been a cornerstone of US strike operations for decades. Known for its long range and precision, it has been used extensively in conflicts around the world. Its reliability is well established. But recent observations suggest a subtle yet potentially significant change. A variant has appeared with a distinct black coating, an unusual departure from the standard finish historically associated with the missile. At first glance, it may seem like a minor detail. But in military systems, small changes often indicate larger shifts. The most likely explanation is that this coating is designed to reduce detectability. By incorporating radar-absorbent and heat-reducing materials, the missile becomes harder to track during flight, particularly in environments where detection windows are already limited. This has direct implications for survivability. Cruise missiles typically rely on low-altitude flight paths to avoid detection. Enhancing their stealth characteristics further reduces the time available for defensive systems to react. In some cases, it may eliminate that window entirely. If deployed in the early stages of an operation, such a capability would be particularly valuable. By targeting radar installations and air defense systems before they can fully respond, these missiles can effectively blind the opponent, clearing the way for follow-on strikes by aircraft and other assets. This creates a cascading effect. Defenses are degraded, response times increase, and the overall effectiveness of the defensive network begins to erode. From a strategic perspective, this represents a shift toward greater emphasis on penetration capability, ensuring that even well-defended targets remain vulnerable. And when viewed alongside systems like PrSM and LUKAS, a broader pattern begins to emerge. This is not about a single weapon or a single operation. It's about integration. Long-range missiles extending the reach of ground forces, low-cost drones saturating and shaping the battlefield, stealth-enhanced cruise missiles penetrating defenses with increasing precision. Each system addresses a different aspect of modern warfare. Together, they form a layered approach designed to overwhelm, outmaneuver, and outpace adversaries across multiple domains. And perhaps most importantly, they suggest that the nature of military advantage is changing. It is no longer defined solely by individual systems, but by how effectively those systems are combined, adapted, and deployed in real time, which leads to a final consideration. If these are the capabilities being demonstrated now, openly, in active operations, then what remains behind the curtain? Because in modern warfare, what you see is rarely the full picture, and the systems you don't see are often the ones that matter most.